Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei was betrayed and become Vampire and Harem. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the SHADOWKING2030 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. Road Pav. Kuo, Japan, a humble town full of wonders and mystery where many citizens live. Kuo is also known for its academy, which was once known as the All-Girls Academy before its changes to allow boys to attend the academy, but the academy holds some secrets of its own, which the citizens of the town doesn't know. For the secret of the town is that beings of the Bible are attending the academy as normal students. In fact, one such student and resident pervert of the academy, Issei Haidu, is just such a being of the Bible. But Issei is conversing with the Prince Charming of the academy, Kiba Yudo. Issei, you have to be careful around Rias and the others, Kiba says to Issei. What are you talking about, Kiba? Issei responds to Kiba. Don't tell Rias I told you this, but I overheard her talking with Akeno and the other girls of the club about betraying you, Kiba says to Issei. Why would they betray me for? Issei asks. I don't know why, but just be safe, Issei, Kiba says. Fine, I'll be careful, Issei says as he walks out of the clubhouse. As soon as Issei exits the clubhouse, Gasper pokes his head out of his box. What should we do now? Gasper asks. We need to inform Sona of what could be happening to Issei, Kiba responds, which Gasper nods in agreement. As the two head to the student council, Issei is walking around the academy campus when he notices a strange building. Wait, when did the academy have a strange building on campus? Issei asks himself. Meanwhile, in the academy main building where class are normally held at, Kiba and Gasper have arrived at the student council office, which Kiba knocks on the door. Enter, a voice calls out from the other side of the door. Opening the door, Kiba and Gasper enter the room to see Sona and the student council working. Darling, shouldn't you be at the orc clubhouse? Tsubaki asks Kiba. Author: yes, the ship of Kiba and Tsubaki will be in this story. I was Dira, but I have come to the council to inform you of Ria's ill intentions to Issei, Kiba says. Explain, Sona says seriously. Well, before Kiba started to explain that Ria's and the others of the clubhouse plans to betray Issei, we talked about what we should do to prevent it from happening, Gasper says. Before any more can be said, a loud boom goes off, startling everyone. Rushing to the nearby window of the room, Tsubaki sees smoke coming from the campus grounds. Sona, there's smoke coming from somewhere on campus. Tsubaki shouts. What? We need to get everything under control now. Sona shouts. Tsubaki, Kiba, Gasper, you three are coming with me. Everyone else, do your best to calm everyone down. Sona shouts. Yes, ma'am. Everyone in the room responds. Soon everyone in the council room exits and makes their way to do what they are tasked to do. Meanwhile, with Issei, his POV, 0 minutes before the boom is heard. Walking over to the strange building, I slowly touch the door of the building. Weird, why is there no light in this building? I ask myself. Suddenly I feel a fist punch me in the back, which sends me flying into the strange building. Ow, what the hell was that? I ask as I look around at the building's interior. Suddenly I hear a voice coming from the shadows of the room. Shut up, you stupid perv, the voice says in annoyance to me. Kaneko? I ask out loud before I see Rias and the girls of the clubhouse appear from the shadows. Hello, Issei, Rias says to me in a cold tone. What's going on, Rias? Why did Kaneko punch me for? I ask my master. Oh, poor delusional Issei, I would have thought you figured it out by now, Rias says to me. Wait, then what Kiba and Gasper said was true? I ask, shouting a little. That's right, Haidu, Zenovius says. But why? After all I done for you, Rias. I shout. Well, I am thankful for your help with Riser and of your improvement during our match with Sayerg. You are still pathetic, Rias says to me in a cold tone. I'm pathetic? Really? If anyone is pathetic, it's you girls who can't accept yourselves, especially Kaneko and Akeno, who were afraid of who they really are before I helped them accept themselves. I say loudly before screaming in pain. Looking at who attacked me, I see Akeno lowering her hand, which I knew she just used her magic on me. Arg, why Akeno-san? I ask loudly. Another lighting attack comes from Akeno, causing me to scream even louder from the pain it inflicts. The boom is heard from the attack, which I struggle to get up on my feet. Suddenly the door to the building opens, which I soon see Sona, Tsubaki, Kiba and Gasper enter. Rias, what are you doing? Sona shouts. Whatever are you talking about, Sona? I'm just doing some cleaning, is all Rias says to Sona. Does this quote cleaning involves betraying a valuable member of the club, Rias? Kiba asks sarcastically. Which is why I called for Lord Surziches to come here, Gasper says. Soon a magic circle appears in the building, which I and everyone else sees Lord Surziches appear from. What is going on here, Surziches asks. Lord Surziches, if Gasper hasn't told you when he called for you to come, it's Riaz and the rest of the girls of the Orc clubhouse that betraying me. As for why, I haven't the faintest of clue why. I say to Riaz, brother. Lord Surziches sends a glare at Riaz. Explain yourself, Riaz, and do not lie to me, Surziches says to Riaz. I don't need to explain anything, dearest brother, when his pervertedness has been causing a lot of trouble for everyone here in Kuo. Even his parents disapprove of his pervertedness. Looks to Akeno, of whom nods. Riaz says before we all see Akeno raise her hand. I am then hit by multiple bolts of electricity, which I scream in pain. Riaz, stop this immediately. Surziches yells. But Akeno doesn't stop, causing me to scream louder in pain. Road Pav. As the attacks keep happening, a loud beating sound is heard, which is revealed to be Kaneko punching Issei. Tiba uses his sword birth to send an attack at Kaneko, of who dodges the attack. Kaneko lands beside Riaz. Tiba, how dare you attack Kaneko? Riaz shouts at Kiba. I attacked her, president, because she is doing something unacceptable to Issei, Kiba says with a glare which he sends to Riaz. Suddenly Issei lets out an even louder scream as everyone looks to see Zenobia stabbing Issei in the heart with her sword. Issei. Kiba, Gasper, Surziches, Sona and Tsubaki scream. Suddenly a dragon-like roar is heard as everyone sees the boosted gear shaking violently. Drake himself makes his appearance, which he glares at Riaz and the girls of the Orc Club. Picture the eye being of Drags as he looks at the betrayers. Impossible. Riaz shouts. Oh, but it's possible, Grimory skank, and now I will repay the favor you inflicted on my host 0 times over. Looks at Kiba and the rest. You 5 best get to the walls as it's going to get hot in the middle, Drake says. Kiba, Gasper, Surziches, Sona and Tsubaki all nod before moving to the walls. Drake soon breathes in before letting loose a wave of fire from his mouth at Riaz and the girls of the Orc clubhouse. Basically what Drake did to Riaz, Akeno, Kaneko, Asia and Zenobia. The betrayers scream in pain as the heat of the flames badly damages their bodies. After a minute, Drake stops and everyone sees Riaz and the girls unconscious in the middle of the building. Turning his head to Issei, Drake makes his way to his host, which Kiba, Gasper, Surziches, Sona and Tsubaki also make their way to Issei. Is he? Surziches asks. He's still breathing, but barely. I can help him, but his pieces that belong to the brat will have to be removed so that she can't track his whereabouts, Drake says. I will gladly remove them for you, Drake, just let me get a Juka to help with the process, Surziches says, which Drake nods. Surziches disappears from the building as everyone else looks to Drake. What would you do to help him, Drake? Gasper asks the dragon. I will turn his heart into a full-blooded dragon's heart, Drake says. Then he will be okay, right? Sona asks with worry in her voice. He will be alright once everything is done, Citri. Albion, I know you and your host are near, you can come over already, Drake says before calling out Albion's name. Suddenly Vali makes her appearance, which she walks over to Drake and Issei. What on earth happened and how are you out of the boosted gear, Drake? Albion asks. The 5 over there can explain, Albion. As for me, I need to get ready to make my host a full-blooded dragon, Drake says. Surziches and Ajuka make their appearance in the building, which after learning what happened from Surziches, immediately came to remove Issei's peerage pieces. After several hours, Issei can be heard sleeping as he is no longer a part of Ria's peerage and is a full-blooded dragon. Thank Satan, he's better now, Sona says as she breathes a sigh of relief. Albion, I am going to take my host to the dragon's training grounds when he wakes up so he can start training his dragon abilities that I have planned to teach him, Drake says from the boosted gear. Very well, call us if you need our help, Drake, Albion says as Vali disappears from the building. I've just made a call to a friend. He and his family agreed to let Issei stay at their estate until he wakes up, Surziches says. Thank you for that, Lucifer. Now if you will excuse me, I need to rest from what all happened, Drake says. Everyone nods, which Surziches picks up Issei and teleports to the underworld with him. Tiba, Gasper, Sona and Tsubaki all return to their duties at the academy. The day at Kuo Academy then comes to an end, which everyone returns to their homes. Road Pav. Several minutes after teleporting to the underworld while carrying Issei in his arms, Surziches has arrived at his friend's place, which is revealed to be the Phoenix estate. Ah, Lord Lucifer, welcome, we've been expecting you, Claire Phoenix says with a graceful bow. Thanks for agreeing to let the Red Dragon Emperor recover at your estate, Claire, Surziches says to Claire as they walk the Phoenix estate. It's no trouble at all, Surziches, after all he did fix Riser's attitude after their bout a while back, Claire says. Soon Surziches and Claire enter a room where Riser and Ravel can be seen waiting. Ravel rushes over to where Issei is being held in Surziches' arms. Oh Satan, is he okay? Ravel asks with a panic expression on her face. He's still breathing, but he will be better as Drake made him into a full-blooded dragon by taking his heart, Surziches says. How did he become like this? You know the way he is in now, Surziches. Phi asks Surziches. Placing Issei on the bed, Surziches explains what happened, which shocks Ravel and Riser immensely. Forgive my language, Lord Lucifer, but what in Satan's ass crack was Ria's thinking, betraying Haidu-kun like he's nothing to her? Ravel shouts loudly. Bravo language, young lady, Claire says to her daughter. Language nothing, mom. That the devil betrayed to most important person who can make things right for our race. Looks at Surziches, was the cat really in on it? Ravel argues a bit with her mom before asking her question to Surziches. If you mean Kaneko, then yes, she was in on it, and as I said before, it was the girls of my sister's peerage that did betrayal to Issei, Surziches says. Then the male swordsman and that bam kid didn't betray him, right? Riser asks before getting a nod from Surziches. For now I suggest we let the Red Dragon Emperor recover from what happened to him, Phi says, which everyone nods. Soon the 5 devils leave the room one by one to let Issei recover from his betrayal. Meanwhile inside Issei's Mindscape. Inside Issei's Mindscape, Issei himself can be seen floating around aimlessly. What happened? And why do I feel a lot more powerful? Issei asks out loud as he floats around his Mindscape. Suddenly the sound of wings flapping is heard as Issei then sees Drake approaching him. Is that you, Drake? Issei asks. Yes, it's me, partner, Drake responds as he flies beside Issei. So what happened to me, Drake? Issei asks. What do you remember from earlier, partner? Drake responds with a question of his own. Well, from what I can remember is that I was betrayed by the girls of the clubhouse, which Zenobia stabbed me. After that nothing, Issei says in response to Drake's question. Right, so here's what happened after you was stabbed in the heart by Corda, Drake answers before explaining what happened. Listening to what Drake tells him, Issei nods in silence. Okay, so I had my pieces removed, meaning I'm no longer a devil anymore, but before I could fully pass on, you took my heart and turned it into that of a full-blooded dragon. Did I get that right? Issei says before asking if he got the info right. Yes, partner, that is correct, and once you wake up after recovering from the betrayal, I will take you to the dragon training grounds that Albion and many dragons go to in order to train our dragon abilities, Drake says. Wait, I thought you were born with your heavenly dragon abilities at birth, Issei says to Drake. Oh god no, we dragons had to train to get where we are today, Drake responds to Issei. Oh alright, so where exactly are we at, Issei asks Drake. Give me one moment to look, partner, Drake says to Issei, who nods. Outside the Mindscape. Inside the room of which Issei is recovering in the boosted gear, appears of which Drake looks around before noticing Ravel entering through a door. Ravel notices the gauntlet on Issei's arm is active and rushes over to the bedside. Lord Drake, you're awake already? Ravel asks in a frantic tone. Not exactly, I am only checking out location, but seeing as you enter through the door that leads to where my partner and I are, then I would have to say it's somewhere you know. Drake responds from the gauntlet. The place you and Haidu-kun are located at is a guest room at the Phoenix estate in the underworld, Lord Drake, Ravel says. I see, well, we are thankful for your family allowing us to recover at your estate, but I must get back to my partner's Mindscape, which we will see you in a week, young Phoenix, Drake says from the gauntlet before it disappears. Nodding her head, Ravel goes to tell her family what just happened. Back in the Mindscape. Okay, so we are recovering at Riser and Ravel's house? Issei asks. Correct, partner, which is I just told the Phoenix girl we are going to be training for a week in here before going to the dragon training grounds, so prepare yourself, partner, Drake says. Issei lets out a gulp before getting ready for a week of grueling training inside his Mindscape. Time skip week. The week has passed, and during the time training with Drake, Issei's personality has changed for the better. Meanwhile, in the room where Issei is recovering, several devils and a few others are waiting for Issei to wake up. The group consists of Surziches, Kiba, Gasper, Irina, Raswaisi, Sona, Sarafel, Michael, Gabriel, Riser, Ravel, Claire, 5, Volley, and Volley's group. Soon the group hears the sound of a male groaning as they see Issei opening his eyes before sitting up in the bed. Ugh, that was a harsh week with Drake, Issei says before he is hugged by Irina. Thank God you're better, Issei. Irina says as she rubs her cheek on Issei's cheek. Issei-kun, I am terribly sorry for what my little sister did to you, Kuroka says as she bows to Issei. It's not your fault, Kuroka, she did it of her own tuition, but I will say this, I no longer have any feelings for them, Issei says. Suddenly Kiba asks Surziches a question which shocks everyone. Lord Surziches, is it possible to be removed from Ria's peerage like Issei was? Kiba asks Surziches seriously. Might I know why you want to be removed? Surziches responds to Kiba. I can explain, my lord. See, both Kiba and I have a feeling that we will be next on the chopping block of betrayal by Ria's and the girls of the clubhouse, which if that happens, then we would be overwhelmed by the girls, and with Issei no longer a part of the peerage, it would be difficult to call for his help, Gasper says to Surziches. Gasper's words put Surziches in a deep thought as in his mind he knows that what Gasper said is true. Very well, I'll discuss with Ajuka on what you requested, Surziches says, causing both Kiba and Gasper to nod. So Drake, where is this training grounds you said you'd take me to when I woke up? Issei asks as he looks at the boosted gear on his arm. Young Haidu, how can you still talk with Drake if you are of the same species as him? Michael asks. Well, I am no longer a devil like several individuals present in the room. Our Drake decided to stay with me, so the Red Dragon Emperor isn't going anywhere from me. Also can't let Ms. White Dragon Empress be without a rival, now can I? Issei says before grinning at Volley. Leave a response. Red Dragon Impressed Volley says. Regardless, Volley and I will help you reach the dragon training grounds, but know that once we arrive you will be on your own, as Drake will not be able to help you as you must endure the training of a dragon on your own, Albion says from Volley's sacred gear. Alright, anything else I should know about the training grounds? Issei asks Albion. Yes, you will have to endure 0 months of harsh dragon training that both I and Drake had to endure before we became the heavenly dragons that you all know today, Albion says from Volley's sacred gear. Right then, let's get going, shall we? Issei says, which Volley nods and tells him to stand next to her. See you all in 10 months, Issei says to everyone before he and Volley disappears from the room. After a few minutes go by, the two arrive at a training yard where they are able to see 2 individuals waiting for them. The 2 individuals. Ah, good, you've made it finally, the first individual says. Who exactly are you two? Issei asks the 2. You know me as Office, the female of the 2 says as she introduces herself. And you caught a glimpse of myself when that idiot Loki tried to cause major drama for everyone, the male says. Issei goes silent before shouting. You mean you're the great Red, the dragon god besides Office? Issei shouts. Yep, that's right, which Office and I are going to be training you these next 10 months since you are a dragon like Albion and Drake or Great Red says. Issei then gains a serious expression as he looks at the 2 dragon gods before him. When does training start? Issei asks. It starts right now, looks to Volley. Albion, you and your host get out of here, you both are not needed for the 10-month training we have in store for Haidu-kun here, Office says to Volley. Volley nods and leaves the area which Great Red and Office start Issei's training as a full-blooded dragon. Time skip 0 months. Nearly a year or 0 months to be exact have passed since Issei has started his training with the dragon gods. Which during the training Issei learned many things of being a dragon from the dragon gods. Right now Issei is in his dragon form laying in a cave that Office and Great Red made for him when he senses Volley and Albion approaching his cave. So you two finally made your way here, Issei says in his dragon voice. You look majestic, Issei, Volley says. I agree with my host, you do look majestic, Haidu-kun, Albion. Well, regardless of that, explain why you are here for Volley. Issei asks. I came to see how you are doing, Volley responds. I'm doing quite well now. If you can excuse me, I would like to get back to sleeping from not being able to sleep at all during the 10 months of no sleep, Issei says before closing his eyes and falling asleep. Suddenly Volley gets close to Issei and lays against his dragon body, which she falls asleep against Issei's dragon body. Issei's pav. Laying in the cave, Office and Great Red gave me for my dragon form. I turn my head to see Volley sound asleep against my dragon body. She looks really comfortable, but I need to move a bit or else I'm going to go stiff from not moving, I quietly think to myself. Moving my body, I suddenly hear a thud before turning to see Volley groaning in pain from falling on her head after I moved. Ugh, would you move for? Volley asks while rubbing her head. Sorry, I had to move around for a bit, turns back into human form. Besides, if I recall, after the training finished, Office and Great Red said they wanted to tell me something, but I don't know what that is, I say to Volley. Suddenly the 2 of us hear multiple footsteps enter the cave, which we turn to see Office, Great Red, Kiba, Gasper and the unknown individual. The unknown individual. Oh, what's going on? I ask. Before we explain why we are here, Haidu-kun, let's let the individual with us introduce himself to you, Office says to me. Nodding our heads, Volley and I look at the individual, who then begins to speak. Greetings, Mr. Haidu, Ms. Lucifer, my name is Mikagami, and I am the headmaster of the academy known as Yakai Academy. The individual, now known as Mikagami, says to me and Volley. Alright, well, it's nice to meet you, Mr. Mikagami, but why are you here, if I may ask? Volley says to Mikagami. Allow us to explain that, kid. So since you have been expelled from your previous academy for missing far too many days during your 10-month absence, Office and I decided to enroll you in Yakai Academy, but it's not just you that will be attending Yakai Academy, Great Red says to me. Who else will be attending the academy with me then? I ask. The others who will be joining you at Yakai Academy are Mr. Yudo, Mr. Vladi and Mrs. Lucifer, Mikagami says. Wait, you two are wanting to attend a new academy? But aren't you both still a part of her peerage? I ask while looking at Kiba and Gasper. Actually, Issei, we were removed from her peerage, Kiba says. Explain, Volley says to Kiba. You'll have time to explain later as you attend your new academy, Great Red says to us. Alright, but how will we be getting to the academy, and do we have to travel back and forth between our homes? I ask. You 4 will have a mansion that Baka Red and I created for you to stay in during your time at Yakai Academy, Office says. As for you getting there, I will open a portal near the bus stop that is close to the academy, which from then on it is up to you to protect yourselves during your time at Yakai Academy. Great Red says. Is the academy just starting its semester or will we be joining mid-semester? Kiba asks Mikagami. You four will be joining at the start of a fresh year at Yakai Academy, Mikagami responds. Looking at Volley, Kiba and Gasper, the four of us nod in agreement. We are ready to go. Open the portal, Lord Red, I say to the dragon god. Great Red opens up a portal which office then conjures school supplies for us and changes our attire to that of the Yakai Academy. Is this the uniform all Yakai students wear? Gasper asks. It is, Mr. Vladi, and here is a guidebook on what to do and not to do at the academy, Mikagami responds before handing a guidebook of the academy to the four of us. Soon Mikagami steps through the portal, which the four of us grab our school supplies and walk through the portal as well. After we step through the portal, we look around at the surrounding area. So this is the bus stop of Yakai Academy, I say as I look at the surrounding area. It feels somewhat natural for me, Gasper says. Well, let's get going, we don't want to be late, I say, which Volley, Kiba and Gasper all nod. Road Pav. As Issei, Volley, Kiba and Gasper begin walking to the academy, they hear something approaching them from behind. You guys hear that? Volley asks. Sounds like someone on a bike coming towards us, Issei responds. The four then hear a voice call out to us. Look out. The voice shouts. Issei is then hit in the back by the source of the voice, which causes Issei and the owner of the voice to tumble onto the ground. Volley immediately rushes over to Issei. Issei, are you okay? Volley asks. Yeah, I'm fine, but more importantly, is she okay? Issei says before asking about the one who crashed into him. The four then see a girl with bright pink hair. The girl sits up and looks at the four. Who are you guys? The girl asks. We will have time to learn each other's names when we get to the academy, Miss Kiba says to the girl. Realizing what Kiba said is true, the girl grabs her bike and books it to the academy, which the four do the same. Arriving at the academy, they see many Yakai walking through the gates. So this is our new academy, huh? Issei says, admiring the academy building. It seems that way, Issei, Kiba says. Come on, let's find out where we gotta go, Gasper says as he tries to look around for where they are supposed to go. After looking around, the four notice many Yakai going to the auditorium. Entering the auditorium, Issei, Kiba, Volley and Gasper see Yakai standing in lines. This must be the welcoming ceremony then, Kiba says. Seems that way, Volley says. The four then listen to the welcoming speech said by Mikagami, which they are then given a schedule. Looking at their schedules, they notice they share the same homeroom teacher but have different teachers after. Well, let's get going to our homeroom class, shall we? Issei asks his friends, of whom nod in agreement. Walking to homeroom class, the four find a seat where they wait for the homeroom teacher to appear. After a while, a voice speaks from outside the classroom. Alright everyone, please settle down, the voice says before the classroom door opens. The individual then walks into the classroom holding a binder. The individual in picture, she is holding a teacher's binder. First, let me introduce myself. I am Shizuka Nekonim, or Ms. Nekonim, and I will be your homeroom teacher this year. Now when I call upon you, please say here, Nekonim says before starting roll call. As Nekonim is doing roll call, the door to the class opens and in walks the girl that bumped into Issei with her bike. Sorry I'm late, ma'am, the girl says. It's fine, I will let it slide since your first day here at Yakai Academy. Now please introduce yourself, Nekonim says to the girl. Yes ma'am, looks to the class. Hello, my name is Mocha Akashiya and I hope to study here with you all, the girl now named Mocha says. Suddenly Mocha spots Issei amongst the classmates and points to him. You're the boy I bumped into with my bike earlier. Mocha shouts at Issei. Yeah, that's me, it's nice to finally know your name, Akashiya-san, Issei says in response to Mocha. It would seem you two have had some sort of meeting earlier, but regardless please sit in the desk behind Haidu, Nekonim says, which Mocha nods and sits in the desk she is assigned to. Nekonim then proceeds with the introduction of the academy and what the class will learn during their time at Yakai Academy. Hours pass before lunchtime arrives, which the class heads for the cafeteria. Grabbing his lunch, Issei heads up to the roof to enjoy his lunch in peace. Soon Mocha Akashiya appears, which she walks over to Issei. Hey Haidu-kun, who exactly are you? Mocha asks Issei. I'm just someone looking to attend Yakai Academy. Why? Issei responds. Mocha is silent at Issei's words. Issei continues to eat his lunch while feeling the gaze of Mocha. By the way, you're a vampire, aren't you, Mocha? Issei asks. How did you know? Mocha responds to Issei. Before Issei can explain, the bell ending lunch rings, which Issei throws the tray away and heads back to class with Mocha following behind. Returning to class, the lesson resumes, which Issei, Volley, Kiba and Gasper take notes. After a while the final bell rings. And that's the bell. I'll see you all tomorrow for your first official day here at Yakai Academy, Nekonim says as she grabs her binder and walks out the classroom. Grabbing their stuff, Issei and the others make their way out of the academy. But upon stepping out the academy, a Yakai student throws a punch at Issei, which Issei catches the punch and slams the attacker on the ground. Mind explaining why you attacked me, Saizo? Issei asks. Why should I explain myself to weaklings like you for? Saizo says in retort to Issei's question. Weaklings are we, huh? Issei toss him to the bus stop, Volley says to Issei. Right, Issei says before throwing Saizo to the bus stop. Let's get going, Issei says before rushing over to the bus stop where Saizo has just landed and formed a crater. Saizo then glares at Issei, Volley, Kiba and Gasper, who glare back at the Yakai student. Damn you weaklings. Saizo shouts as he transforms. Damn you weaklings. Saizo shouts as he transforms. Replaced Tsukyun with Issei, Volley, Kiba and Gasper. So that is your Yakai form, huh? Saizo, Gasper says. That's right, and you weaklings will perish beneath my feet. Saizo shouts. Suddenly Mocha appears before the five. What's going on over here? Mocha asks loudly. Saizo then charges at Mocha, which Issei uses a little of his dragon speed and grabs her rosary, which he then pulls it off. But how? Mocha asks before bats around her. Soon Mocha is seen standing before the five with silver hair. So mind explaining how you of all people can free me by pulling the Rosario Haidu, Issei, Mocha says in a serious tone to Issei. I'll explain when the weekend comes, but Saizo is needing some discipline for trying to attack you, Issei says. Mocha then glares at Saizo before stretching her arms above her head. He's right, you got some nerve for attempting to attack me, Orc, Mocha says seriously. Saizo backs up a few, sweating. Hey, come on man, think of the status you'll gain for beating up a vampire, Saizo says for himself. Mocha soon lets out a yawn before speaking. You boring me, Mocha says before charging at Saizo. What is all Saizo can say before being kicked in the chin and sent flying into the air. Recovering from the kick, Saizo looks around for Mocha before noticing her spinning in place in the air. Well Saizo, it's time you learned your place. Mocha shouts before delivering a hard kick to the orc's stomach. Replace Yakai Academy with the bus stop and Kaya with Saizo. Saizo is then seen unconscious in a crater. Mocha lands on the ground and walks over to Issei, grabbing the Rosario from him. You better keep your word about explaining how you can pull the Rosario, Issei Haidu, Mocha says seriously before reconnecting the Rosario, causing her hair to turn pink again. Volley catches Mocha. I'll take her to the girls' dorm, Volley says. Right, we'll see you at the mansion then, Kiba says, which Volley nods. Issei, Kiba and Gasper then make their way to their mansion, while Volley takes Mocha to the girls' dormitory. After walking for a bit, the three then see the mansion, great red and office made for them for their time at Yakai Academy. The mansion. Volley then arrives, which the four enter and retire to bed falling asleep. Road Pav. It has been an hour since Ria's Akeno Zenobia Kaneko and Asia was badly hurt by Drake during the betrayal to the now former member Issei Haidu. Damn that dragon, how dare he attack us like that? Ria says as she struggles to sit up in the building where the betrayal happened. The Udo will pay for attacking me, Ria's Kaneko says annoyed. He's not the only one who will be attacking you for what you did, Shirin, an all too familiar voice to Kaneko says. Suddenly Kuroka appears and it's not just her but Grafia, Sarafel, Venelana, Barakel and Gabriel that is with Kuroka. What are you all doing here? Ria says loudly at the six that teleport before her and her club members. We are here, Ria's, because of what you done to your now ex-pawn Issei Haidu, Venelana says to her daughter. You mean that no good pervert? Kaneko says with disgust. Suddenly a loud slap is heard as everyone looks to see Kuroka furiously slap Kaneko across the face, causing Kaneko to fall onto the ground. Play for Kuroka's slap to Kaneko's face. Don't you take his name in vain, Shirin Taoju. Issei Haidu has done more for everyone in this building than you ever could. Kuroka screams at Kaneko. Oh please, all he does is try to peek on girls with his pervert friends. Kaneko retorts back at her sister. Kuroka screams loudly before tackling Kaneko to the ground where she relentlessly attacks her. Stop her, she'll kill Kaneko. Riaz orders the rest of the orc female club members. The four are then stopped by Venelana, Sarafel, Grafia, Gabriel and Barakel. You four aren't going over there, Riaz Gremory, Venelana says seriously. Why are you stopping us? Kaneko really will die. Ria shouts to her mother. Biz Kuroka will only go that far if it is deemed necessary, but enough about the sisters, let us focus on you four, Grafia says in a cold tone. The wall of ice circles around Riaz, Akeno, Asia and Zenobia, each girl trapped in their own icy prison. Damn it, let us go. Zenobia shouts. You're not being let go until we decide your punishment, Zenobia Corda, Gabriel says. But we never did anything wrong though. Asia says innocently. Young Argentino, you have done a terrible thing to the person who took you into his family, Asia gasps. Yes, I know what he has done for you, as he has told me when we talked in private that one day, Barakel says to Asia. It's really a shame you young Argentino was once a devoted follower of the Lord, helping the innocent with your sacred gear, despite it making others look at you weird, now you don't even bat an eye when your friend was being beat up by your master, Gabriel says seriously to Asia. Gabriel's words causes Asia to fall to her knees and start crying loudly. Next there is Zenobia Court, a former exorcist in training who had the gall to try attack Asia because you thought in your womanly wisdom that because she was a member of Ria's peerage that she should die by your sword, Sarafel says seriously to Zenobia. It would have been far better if she did let me kill her at the time. Zenobia shouts, which shocks Asia to her core. Wow, so even after becoming one of us you still want to kill her? Talk about disgrace, Sarafel says seriously. Indeed, which is why I will take your access of using holy swords and ensure my brother will forbid you and Asia Argentino from ever praying again, Gabriel says before she uses her holy magic to remove Zenovia's access to the holy swords. No, stop. You can't do this to me. Zenobia yells from her icy prison while banging on the icy wall of her ice prison. Now we turn to you, Akeno Himejima, queen of Ria's Gremory. Venelana says to Akeno. There's no saying for what I did to Issei, Lady Gremory, but I won't take back my actions for what I did to him, Akeno says seriously. So you know what you have done is wrong, Akeno. I'm a bit impressed at your conviction to your actions against Issei Haidu, Barakel says to his daughter. But that still doesn't change the fact that your punishment must be dealt with, Akeno Grafia says to Akeno. All of a sudden Rias breaks out of her icy prison and throws a orb of destruction at Venelana, shocking everyone. But a water snake wraps around Rias, causing the orb to destroy itself before ever reaching Venelana. Look at what happened to her. Rias angrily snaps her head to the one person who could use water dragons. Sona, what the hell are you doing to me? Let me go this instant. Rias shouts. Sona walks over with Surzich's Kiba and Gasper following behind her. No, I won't, Rias, you have been causing too much drama for everyone present, including your once best pawn you had in your peerage, Sona says. Indeed, and only a month after your match with Sayerg, Surzich's says. But still to attack your own mother, Rias, how low have you sank to, Gasper says. Rias starts to struggle against Sona's water snake, which begins to crack as to show it is about to break. Sarafel improves the water snake's durability with her own water magic, making it even tougher to break. Why are you all standing in our way? When all we did was remove a simple pervert. Rias shouts. That pervert has done far more for your peerage than you ever did, Gremory, Brad, a voice says. Suddenly a man with deep red hair like the Gremory clan appears in the room. Who are you? Kiba asks. You know me as Great Red Kid, Great Red says. Lord Red, what are you doing here? Sona asks. I came here to give a punishment from myself and office to the ones that betrayed the Red Dragon Emperor, Great Red says. Suddenly Kaneko is thrown near Rias, Akeno, Asia and Zenobia as everyone looks to see Kaneko very badly injured. Now then, it is time for yours and Akeno's punishment, Rias, Venelana says seriously. Akeno Himejima, daughter of Barakel Himejima, you are hereby stripped of your holy magic and are disowned as my family, Barakel says seriously, shocking Akeno greatly. You can't do this to me, father. Akeno shouts. I can and I will, for you have done horrible things to the Red Dragon Emperor who helped sign a peace treaty between the three factions, Barakel says as he uses a magic spell to remove Akeno's holy magic. For you, Rias, you will be removed from Kuo Academy and taken back to the underworld where you will learn from here, father, and I decide for you learn under, Venelana says seriously. It should also be noted that Kuo will rightfully be Sona's jurisdiction until a new company owner can be found, Surzich's says. Don't worry, Sotan, I'll help you govern over the city until a new company owner is found, Sarafel says to her sister, which Sona nods. Now it's my turn to give you your punishments, Great Red says. With a snap of his fingers, Rias, Akeno, Asia, Kaneko and Zenobia all feel a sharp pain in their bodies. What did you do to us? Zenobia shouts. I removed your parts that made you allowed to have children, so you can no longer bring any brats into the world, Great Red says before disappearing. Soon everyone else disappears from the room, which the building crumbles to dust after everyone leaves. Issei's Pav. Waking up in my bed at the mansion that office and Great Red made for me, Vali, Kiba and Gasper, for our time at Yakai Academy, I let out a yawn and walk over to the nearby calendar and look at it. Seems it's a weekend today, I say. Which means the vampire girl will be coming over to get some answers from you, Issei, I hear Drake say from the gauntlet. Yeah, and I don't know how well she'll take it once we tell her everything, I say while looking at the gauntlet. Regardless, we will be there to help you in your explanation, Issei, I hear Kiba's voice say. Turning to where I heard the voice, I see Kiba, Vali and Gasper standing at my bedroom doorway. Suddenly a voice calls out to us. My lords and lady, Ms. Mocha is here to see you all, the voice says. Thank you, Zest, we will be right down. I shout loudly before looking at the three. We nod and get dressed in our separate rooms before making our way downstairs to see Mocha sitting on one of the couches. Ah. There you all are. Mocha says. Sorry for being late, I say as I sit opposite of Mocha. It's fine, I just got here, but who was that maid I met earlier? Mocha asks us. The maid is named Zest, and she is a servant of us who helps keeps the mansion clean while we attend Yakai Academy, Vali says. Now before we start explaining who we are, allow me to cast a spell that will let us communicate with your true self, I say before casting the spell Dragon Mirror, which appears beside Mocha and shows her true self sitting beside her. What the hell? How am I able to speak while she still wears the Rosario? The other Mocha asks. All will be explained during what we tell Mocha, but first let us ask you both a question, Gasper says. What is it? Both Mochas respond. Tell us, you two, have you ever heard of beings called angels, devils and fallen angels? Vali asks. I read stories of them back home before being sealed by the Rosario, the other Mocha says. What about dragons? I ask. Dragons are nothing but myths, right? Mocha says. I look to Vali, Kiba and Gasper, of whom nodded me, which I nod back. Well, you two allow me to properly introduce myself. I am Issei Haidu, once a human then a reincarnated devil, now a full-fledged dragon, thanks to my partner I say to the two. I am Vali Lucifer, half human half devil hybrid, Vali says. Kiba Yudo, a former reincarnated devil like Issei, but now I am a human, Kiba says. And I'm Gasper Vladi, a vampire like you both, but I don't have the fascinating taste for blood like the standard vampires do, Gasper says. Our introduction shocked both girls before us. Wait, you're saying that you were once human? The other Mocha asks from the mirror. Yes, that is correct, though technically Kiba is full human now, I say. But how are you able to come here to Yakai Academy when humans usually get killed by the Yakai? Mocha asks us. Well, it's a bit complicated, but it goes like this, I say before explaining everything that happened to me with Vali, Kiba and Gasper, explaining what happened to them. After listening to all our tales of what happened, the four of us see a displeased look on both Mocha's faces. I can't believe that devil would do that to you, Haidu-kun. Mocha says loudly. Well, it happened, but you both should hear of the aftermath of what happened to Issei, Kiba says as he starts to explain what happened, with Gasper nodding at his words. So that happened, how well serves them right for still bad-mouthing me, I say. Kuroka laid into Kaneko brutally, so I'm sure she won't be doing any devil work, Gasper says. But did you two ever find out why this Ria's betrayed Haidu-kun? Mocha asks Kiba. We were unable to find out why, but something tells me it has to do with Issei's old personality, Kiba says. Wait, what does he mean by old personality? The other Mocha asks me. Letting out a sigh, I look to the two. So when Kiba said my old personality, he means when I was a total pervert doing anything I can just to grope a pair of tits of a female, I say. You're not like that anymore, right? Mocha asks nervously. No, I'm not, as during my training with two gods of the dragon race, one had all my perverted intentions erased for good, yet I suffer their punishment again, I say before shivering at the thought of being punished again by Office and Red. Office and Great Red must have left their mark on you to shiver, Issei, Kiba says. Yeah, but partner, you should introduce me to the two since you're explaining everything about you, Drake's voice says in my mind. Nodding my head, I extend my arm where the gauntlet would be and summon said gauntlet, which the orb in the middle begins to glow. Greetings, Vampire Mocha Akashia. I am the heavenly dragon Drake who resides in the boosted gear of which you see before you both, Drake says as he introducing himself to both versions of Mocha. What is the boosted gear? Mocha asks. Well, I believe it's my turn to tell about myself then, Drake says before he starts explaining about himself. Mocha and the other Mocha listen intently to Drake's story about himself. So because you and this Albion dragon got involved in a three-way war with the three factions, you both got killed and put into something called a sacred gear? The other Mocha asks us. Yes, and for Albion he is the sacred gear of Vali, well I am the host of the sacred gear that contains Drake, I say. Technically Gasper and I each have a sacred gear as well, Kiba says. Oh? What is your sacred gears then? The other Mocha asks. My sacred gear is called Sword Birth. Basically I can create a sword of holy and demonic properties, or just a standard sword of any type, Kiba says. Mine is the Forbidden Valor, a sacred gear that allows me to freeze anyone in place that isn't powerful as Issei, Vali or Kiba, Gasper says. This is so much information you're telling us, the other Mocha says to us. Yeah, aren't you afraid of us telling the other Yakai of who you guys really are? Mocha says. We trust you both, besides it was your other self that requested we explain ourselves and tell her how I am able to pull of your Rosario, I say. He's right, I did ask that, but seriously how are you able to pull off the Rosario, the other Mocha asks. So about that, see, before I was told of Yakai Academy and during my time training with Office and Great Red, who are dragon gods, mind you I was told about many different Yakai and their traditions, I say. But what does that have to do with my Rosario? Mocha asks. I'm getting to that, so please let me continue. Mocha and her other self nod anyway. As I was learning about the Yakai, I was told of a vampire lord and his family, of whom consisted of 4 daughters and wife who is missing, I say. Wait, you don't mean you was told of my family? The other Mocha says a bit loudly. Well, if it was your family or not only time can tell, but to prove myself as a dragon, allow me to introduce myself hybrid form to you, both I say before transforming to my hybrid form. Issei's hybrid dragon form. The aura from my hybrid form infatuates the three girls in the room, causing me Kiba and Gasper to sweat drop at what they are seeing. I think you old goal might be started again, Ice, Kiba says. Even so, I am going to wait until the appropriate time to find out their feelings for me, I say before returning to normal. My lords and ladies, dinner is ready, Zest tells us from the kitchen. Mocha, her other self and Volley all regain their senses before Volley speaks. Thank you, Zest, we will be right there, Volley says as she walks to the kitchen. Soon the rest of us follow, which I carry the dragon mirror to the table, confusing both versions of Mocha. Wait, why am I at the table when only my outer side can eat for the two of us? The other Mocha asks. Well, there is a special feature of the dragon mirror that will benefit both of you, I say while picking up the other Mocha's plate. Which is? Mocha asks. This I say before moving the plate into the mirror, causing it to reach the other Mocha's hands, shocking said individual. Wait, this mirror of yours allows objects to go through it? Mocha asks loudly. Yeah, so this way you both can be fed at the same time instead of one of you eating for both, I say with a smile. Inside the mind of both Mochas they are thinking one thing. I must be with him at all cost. Both versions think in their minds. The seven eat their dinners relaxing and joking together before Mocha says that she must go back to the girls' dorm and that she vows never to tell anyone what she was told by us. Nodding our heads, I cancel the dragon mirror spell as Mocha leaves the mansion, which myself, Ali, Kiba and Gasper all do our own things before turning into our respective beds to rest up for tomorrow. Road Pav. In the early morning hours of the Yakai world, Issei can be seen doing a fierce training regimen that he was taught to learn by the dragon gods themselves. I gotta keep my body and mind in peak condition, Issei says. Issei's training regimen consists of doing 000 push-ups and sit-ups while wearing 8,000-pound weights on his arms and legs. As Issei continues his training, several Yakai are up and about trying to figure what the noise they are hearing is. Are you sure the noise is coming from around here? One Yakai asks. I don't know, but I think so, another Yakai says. After a few minutes the two Yakai notice Issei working out. Hey, isn't that Haidu? The first Yakai asks. Yeah, I think it is, but why is he up this early for? The second Yakai asks. Because I need to keep up with my training is why, Issei says, shocking the two Yakai. How did you hear us from all the way over here? The second Yakai asks. That is a secret now, you both really need to get back to your dorms or you could be in trouble for being out this early, Issei says. The two Yakai suddenly freak out realizing Issei is right, which they book it back to their dorm rooms. After finishing his workout, Issei returns to his room in the mansion where he freshens up and puts on his Yakai Academy uniform. Walking downstairs, Issei sees Volley, Kiba and Gasper waiting for him at the front door in their uniforms. You're late, Issei, let's go already, Kiba says. Nodding his head, Issei exits the mansion, which Volley, Kiba and Gasper follow behind. As the four walk to the academy, they are joined by Mocha, who caught up to them on their walk. Entering the Academy of Yakai, the five would head to Nekonom's classroom as they have her as their homeroom teacher, but a female student would be watching Issei from afar. So that's him, and from what my dream told me he is someone I can trust, but how can I achieve that? The female student asks herself as she enters the classroom and sits at her desk. Nekonom enters the classroom and begins the lesson for today, which Issei and his friends take notes of the lesson. As the homeroom lesson goes on, the bell signaling the next class rings, which everyone in the classroom gets up from their desks and walks to their next class. For Issei and Volley it is PE or physical education, while Kiba and Gasper go to math class. Arriving at where the class for PE is held, Issei and Volley meet the teacher that will teach PE to the class. PE to the class. Greetings, I am Mr. Akudo Kitsubo, and I will be your physical education teacher this semester, Akudo says to everyone. Akudo then explains what the class is going to do today. Issei raises his hand to ask a question. Yes, Mr. Haidu, what is your question? Akudo says to Issei. For what we are to do in class, are we able to push ourselves to the limit, or do we need to do a set amount of exercise? Issei asks. Akudo then thinks to himself for a few seconds. Well, seeing it is your first day of my class, I will have everyone do a set amount today, but that may change over time. For now, go get into your gym clothes, Akudo says. Everyone in class nods and goes to the locker rooms where they change into their gym clothes. After a few minutes, Issei, Volley and the rest of the class return to where Akudo is waiting for them. But you're all in your gym clothes now for today, I want you all to, Akudo starts to say before hearing a shirt being ripped to pieces. Looking to the source, Akudo and the rest of the class see Issei shirtless as it was his pea shirt that ripped. Issei shirtless, just picture the background is the gymnasium at Yakai Academy and that he's wearing Yakai PE shorts. Mr. Haidu, why did your shirt just rip to pieces? Akudo asks Issei. To be honest with you teach I have no idea why it ripped to pieces, but I think it has to do with the training regimen I do every one morning before school starts Issei says. I see well I'll discuss it with the headmaster later for now I want everyone to do 5 push-ups and sit-ups Akuto says. The class nods and begins doing what Akuto said, unaware that 3 girls in class have bloody noses at seeing Issei shirtless. The day at Yakai Academy goes on like normal, but during lunch a female student can be seen approaching the table Issei, Vali, Kiba and Gasper are sitting at. "Excuse me but can I sit with you for?" the female student asks. Looking at the female student Issei senses a succubus-type aura coming from the girl. Picture she is in the Yakai Academy lunchroom. "And you are?" Gasper asks the female student. "My name is Kurumu Kurono, nice to meet you," the female student now named Kurumu says. "Nice to meet you too, but why come sit with us?" Kiba asks. "Is it wrong to communicate with one's classmates during lunchtime?" Kurumu asks a question in response to Kiba's question. "No, you're right, it's not wrong to want to communicate with classmates during lunch, but there has to be a reason for you to come over to our table," Succubus Issei says, shocking Kurumu. "Mind telling me how you know what I am, Haidu-kun?" Kurumu asks Issei. "I'll tell you after school if you promise to tell the real reason you wanted to talk with us, deal?" Issei says in a serious tone. "Deal," Kurumu says in response. "Then please have a seat at the table," Vali says. Nodding her head, Kurumu sits down at the table, which they are soon joined by Mocha, who arrives to join the 5 for lunch. After a while the bell ending lunch rings, which the 6 head back to their respective classes and continue learning from the teachers of the academy. The bell ending school soon rings after hours of learning in the academy, which Issei, Kiba, Mocha, Gasper and Vali all make their way out of the academy. The group however finds Kurumu waiting for them at the entrance of the academy gates. "There you are, now tell me how you know of my race," Kurumu says to Issei. "First let's go to a more secluded place," Issei says as he motions Kurumu to follow him. Kurumu nods and follows Issei, which Vali, Kiba, Gasper and Mocha follow the two. After walking for a bit the group comes to a secluded area. "This should be good enough distance away from everyone," Issei says as he casts a dome around the group. "What did you cast, Issei?" Kiba asks. "I casted a special dome that prevents anyone from hearing or seeing us," Issei says. "That is pretty nifty," Issei, Mocha says. "Regardless, let us hear the real reason from Kurumu," Vali says. Issei, Vali, Kiba, Gasper and Mocha all look towards Kurumu, of whom nods. "Right, so the real reason I wanted to talk to you is because I wanted to confirm what my dream said," which said that he points to Issei as someone I can trust to help reach my goal, Kurumu says. "Your dream told you that Issei is someone that you can trust to help with your goal?" Mocha's inner voice says, confusing Kurumu. "Why did your voice change?" Kurumu asks Mocha. "You'll know in a moment, Succubus, just continue your explanation," Mocha says in response. "Well, as I said, my dream told me that Haidu-kun is someone I can trust to help reach my goal for my race," Kurumu says. "Which I'm going to take a wild guess and say that you are searching for your destined one due to your race being on the verge of extinction, right?" Issei asks Kurumu. "Yes, that's right. So please help me get my race back to being repopulated," Kurumu shouts. "Now hold on, as much as I want to help you bring your kind out of near extinction, I believe it's best we take things slow first before jumping into anything adult themed related," Issei says. "Issei is right, besides you only just interacted with us for the first time, so like Issei said, it's best to take things slow and go from there," Vali says. "And since you wanted to know of my voice, I'll tell you why you heard me speak differently," Mocha says before explaining about her other self to Kurumu. "I see, so that was your real self speaking earlier then," Kurumu says to Mocha. "Yes, that's correct, now let us head back to our dorms, Kurumu, and we'll see you for tomorrow," Mocha says. "Wait, doesn't Vali need to come with us?" Kurumu asks. "She stays in a building with Issei, Kiba and Gasper, so there's nothing we can do to have her move to the girls' dorm," Mocha says as she walks back to the girls' dorm with Kurumu following her. Issei, Kiba, Vali and Gasper return to the mansion where they communicate for a while before turning in and falling asleep in their respective beds. Road Pav. In the morning hours of the Yakai world, Issei and the rest can be seen getting ready to exit their mansion to go to their day of classes at Yakai Academy. "Let's go, you three," Issei says to Vali, Kiba and Gasper. "Right behind you, Ice," Kiba says. The 4 leave the mansion and start making their way to Yakai Academy. Along the way they meet up with Mocha and Kurumu, who tag along. Arriving at the academy they head to homeroom class where Nekonim is waiting, which they then sit at their desks. As homeroom starts, Issei starts taking notes like the rest of the class does. Time passes as the bell rings, ending homeroom. The group starts making their way to their next class, which for Issei, Vali and Kurumu it is history. Upon arriving to the classroom the 3 pick a desk to sit at where they wait for the teacher. "So who do you think the teacher is for this class?" Kurumu asks Issei and Vali. "No telling, to be honest with you, but I'm sure it's someone from the Yakai world," Issei says. Suddenly the door to the classroom opens and in walks a familiar individual to both Issei and Vali. "Hello class, my name is Riswaisi Valkyrie, but you can call me Ms. Riswaisi, and I will be your history teacher here at Yakai Academy this year," Riswaisi says to the class. Picture she is in a classroom at Yakai Academy. "Wait a minute Riswaisi, what are you doing here?" Issei says loudly. "That's Ms. Riswaisi to you Mr. Haidu, but please see me after class," Riswaisi says as she begins to teach the history lesson. Issei, Vali and Kurumu all begin taking notes as does the rest of the class. "I wonder if anyone else is here?" Issei asks himself while taking notes of the history lesson. Little does Issei know he is going to be having an embarrassing moment in his next class. "VSST Issei, how do you know the new teacher?" Kurumu asks Issei. "Ms. Kurono, mind explaining why you're talking during my lesson," Riswaisi says to Kurumu. "Sorry ma'am, I was just asking Issei how he knows you," Kurumu responds. "Well, please save your questions till after class so as to not disrupt the rest of the class who wish to learn," Riswaisi says. "Yes ma'am, sorry for disturbing the class," Kurumu says. Riswaisi continues the lesson which the bell ending class. "Alright, have a nice day everyone, and Mr. Haidu, please stay after class before you go to your next class," Riswaisi says. Everyone in the classroom leaves but Issei and Riswaisi. "Alright, spill it, when did you decide to take up a teacher's position at this academy?" Issei asks. "Well, a week after you left for here, Great Red and office approached us offering us a chance to be near you, which after talking with the headmaster of this academy, we got positions as teachers here," Riswaisi says to Issei. "Wait, we? You mean there is another supernatural individual here in the academy?" Issei asks. "Yes, but you best get to your next class or you'll be late," Riswaisi. Realizing she is right, Issei books it to his next class, which for him is PE. Arriving at the PE class, Issei he sees everyone waiting for the teacher. "Where's Mr. Akudo?" Issei asks. "No idea, we haven't seen him yet," Issei Kiba says. Suddenly a cheerful voice is heard speaking. "Alright everyone, please go change into your PE uniforms, then return here," the voice says. Going to their respective locker rooms, Issei and the rest of the class before returning to where the teacher is. Upon returning to the teacher, Issei sees a familiar face again, as does Kiba and Mocha. Picture she has Yakai Academy written on her shirt and that she is holding a teacher's clipboard in her hand. "Sarafel, you're also a teacher here too?" Issei asks. "It's Ms. Levi to you," Buster Sarafel says to Issei while poking his forehead with one of her fingers. "Right, Ms. Levi, so where's Mr. Akudo?" Gasper asks Sarafel. "Mr. Akudo has been let off due to being a bit disruptive," Sarafel says. "Best not to ask questions about that, Issei says calmly. "Yes, that is correct. Now then, when I call your name please say here so that I can know that you're not absent from class," Sarafel says as she begins roll call. During roll call, Sarafel stops on a name and asks if any seen the student, which everyone replies with a no. "Well, since she is not present for class today, I will mark her absent. Now please follow me to the track and we will begin the 50-meter dash exercise," Sarafel says. The class nods and everyone goes out to the track of Yakai Academy where they begin the 50-meter dash. As the school day goes as normal, the final bell eventually rings, ending the school day. Issei, Vali, Kiba and Gasper all make their way back to the mansion, which Mocha and Kurumu join them. "Wow, this is where you four stay," Kurumu shouts as she sees the mansion. "Yes, this is our home while we stay in the Yakai world," Issei says as he opens the door to the mansion. The six then see Riswaisi and Sarafel sitting on the couch talking. "Wait, why is the history teacher here?" Kurumu asks. "I'm here because I know the four before they started attending Yakai Academy," Riswaisi says. "Is it because of what happened to Issei-kun?" Mocha asks. "He told you, did he?" Sarafel asks with a question of her own. "Yes, Vali, Kiba and Gasper told me and my inner self what happened to him before he arrived here," Mocha says. "Wait, what did they tell you?" Kurumu asks. "We will tell over dinner as the food should be done soon," Issei says. Soon Zest informs everyone that dinner is ready, which everyone goes to the kitchen where Issei summons the dragon mirror, allowing inner Mocha to be seen. "Is this mirror one of your new abilities, Issei?" Riswaisi asks. "Yes, it is, as it is the only way to feed Mocha's inner self," Issei says as he puts a plate of food into the mirror, which inner Mocha grabs. "Who are you really, Haidu-kun?" Kurumu asks. "It goes a little something like this," Issei says as he begins to explain what he told Mocha with the others, giving their input on what is being told. "Hold on, you're a full-fledged dragon, while Kiba is pure human?" Kurumu asks. "I'm a vampire like Mocha, and Vali is half human half devil," Gasper says. "What about the teachers?" Kurumu asks. "I'm a pure devil, but more importantly I'm a devil king or queen if you want to get technical," Sarafel says. "And I'm a Valkyrie of Norse mythology," Riswaisi says. "Aren't you supposed to have a grudge against Yakai unless I'm thinking of another race?" Kurumu asks Riswaisi. Some races have grudges of what happened in the past, but I do not nor do I know anyone who hates Yakai with a passion, Isay says. I'll say this now, Kurumu, do not say anything about what we told you until we feel the need is right to tell everyone, Issei says seriously to Kurumu. Don't worry, I promise not to say anything at all unless you guys give the okay to say anything about what you told me, Kurumu responds. The 9 continue to eat their meal, which after finishing their meal Mocha and Kurumu leave to go to the girls' dormitory. Alright, we will see you guys tomorrow for school, good night everyone, Mocha says as she and Kurumu exit the mansion. Before I forget, Issei, I have something to give you, Sarafel says as she summons a box. The box, but picture there is only one set of chess pieces and that the pieces are inside the box with the box being closed up. What's this? Issei asks. It is something from Office and Great Red, of whom says when the time is right the box will open and you will know what to do with it, Sarafel says. Alright, I'll put it up in my room then. In any case, can you please show Sarafel and Isay to any available room, Issei says. Right away, Lord Issei responds as she motions for Sarafel and Isay to follow her. Everyone then retires to their rooms in the mansion, which they soon fall asleep to rest for tomorrow's day of learning at Yakai Academy. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe and comment down below and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow SHADOWKING2030 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.